the Minister of Finance, he appoints the PS, therefore he controls the treasury. And that's why the president, when traveling around, he can meet people saying, we need a bridge here, and he says, where's the PS Finance? Can you get us 200 million? Can you get us 300 million here? Can you get us a billion shillings here? All that is not in the budget. So there's no fiscal discipline. So the point of planning is useless. The president implements a budget that is not the budget parliament passes. There's a document called a statement of actual revenue and net expenditure. It comes out every month end by the treasury. If you pick that document and you pick the budget that was passed by parliament, there's no correlation. A simple thing is that parliament never passes domestic borrowing. It never allows for domestic borrowing. But you go and find the government is borrowing money throughout, domestic borrowing through the banks and what have you. You even get that parastatals, which are being financed by the treasury, are lending money to government. Then you wonder what is happening. And the trick is this: once you lend money to government, you create a debt. And if you go to Article 214, a debt is paid, is an automatic charge in the consolidated fund. Doesn't go through parliament for appropriation, doesn't go through the control of budget. So all you need to do, and what they have done effectively, is to create debt into the consolidated fund and then earn the profit. They can even create that debt today and return the money they borrowed from the banks back to the banks, but they have created debt that has to be paid and they split out money. We have done calculations that under Uhuru Kenyatta, 2.6 trillion shillings was stolen from the treasury, from the consolidated fund, using fictitious debt. And the trend is continuing. That's why we are saying we must implement the constitution, create all those institutions that are required to ensure public money is secure. Then you go to something else. And that's something you do on day one. Because the constitution has already demanded it. That's something we do on day one. We are not promising to build stadiums in every, we're not promising all those lofty things. We're just going to say we are going to do the simple things. The constitution says A, we are going to do A. The constitution says B, we are going to do B. And I want to show you another problem that you have with our constitution. When you go to about the debt, 214, Article 214 talks about public debt. It says that public debts are a direct charge on the consolidated fund. But then it goes to section part 2 of 214, it says public debt is loans and guarantees of loans. Now, something has happened recently in the Senate. You know, it's a majoritarian institution, so people vote. Senator like Lademo Lekina came up with a motion. We have got this thing of pending bills, saying that now pending bills must be paid as an automatic charge to the county revenue fund, which is the equivalent of the consolidated fund. The question is this: a pending bill, like we have pending bills, they say Omtatah is flying to Mombasa. KQ gives me a ticket. I'm a senator. It invoices Parliamentary Service Commission. That becomes a pending bill. Another thing happens, you're going to consume, you're going to live well, what are you? So you get pending bills. Nairobi has got 107 billion in pending bills. My little Busia has got 2 billion in pending bills. Now you want to say that these pending bills, like the Nairobi ones, are largely legal fees, where advocates are colluding with the county officials. They come up with a fictitious debt, they give a big bill. Before it goes to court, there's what they call taxing. Before the magistrate looks through, say it's justified, they come with a consent that the client has agreed to pay. It goes, so they become all these pending bills. Now, how that consumption and that kind of stuff can become a public debt, I don't understand. So the Senate passed a motion. Some of the lone voices you had could not be listened to, saying all pending bills must be the first charge on the revenue fund. So when you go to next year, you get a revenue fund. The revenue fund, all the pending bills will be paid. Now, Nairobi should begin clearing the 107 as an automatic charge. But these are not loans or guarantees of loans that the constitution defined. So we're creating avenues for corruption. People are going to steal. My own county, if you had that I refused to have the governor interrogated until I interrogate the auditor general. I've said, Nancy, come sit here. Let me understand the mathematics you are using in this document, because it's not adding up. For example, the Busia document, the statement of accounts and pending bills, when you look through and you add, the document says you have got 1.9 billion in pending bills. When you put that document on a spreadsheet, it tells you your Busia County has overpaid pending bills by 44 million. But the Auditor General has validated the claim by Busia that they have got pending bills of 1.9. Now that should become a first charge. So you see now the governor, whoever is doing that has prepared that when the treasury sends money, they're just going to pick 1.9 billion and claim they're paying pending bills. You see what's happening in this country? That's why we must get to implement the constitution and demand that, one, the treasury must be independent. We must have a national treasurer, and a national treasurer must be somebody who runs the treasury like the central bank. Once money comes, it's locked up and it can't leave until Parliament does a budget and the control of budget supervises it. What I'm saying is that we must get back to the point where the budget of a government is the only policy document that you should look at. Don't look at all the stories they tell you we are going to do what, we are going to do whatever. Is it in the budget? And when you talk of equity in the country, we want to look at equity in the budget. Before any money leaves the treasury, we want to look at the budget and say, okay, in the budget there's a face of Kenya. You see? Then we say now that budget give it to the treasury and the control of budget to begin implementing. Because it's money that makes things happen. If you are talking about empowering education, let us look at your budget. How much are you allocating education? You have had a lot of talk about universal health care, as if it's a new thing. When I was a small boy, Kenya had universal health care. You could walk to a hospital and be treated, and you come home. When I became a teenager, something came in called cost sharing. I think Okara will tell us more, where the structural adjustment. They began saying cost sharing. Now you could buy an exercise book, you go with it to the hospital, you pay it on a care, things like that. There are no forms in the hospital, you have to go with a book. Sometimes you have to buy this. Then, that's when our healthcare collapsed. The stores that the government stores used to be branded. If it's an aspirin, it's GOK aspirin. The aspirin from government could not be sold in the private sector because it was branded. We go to a place where they said stop branding. So a Panadol in a private chemist and a Panadol in a government chemist or a glove are the same. So what is happening as medical officers and those people work in hospitals, most of them again run shops that sell these things, pharmacies and whatever. So you get that you are told hakuna dawa kwa serikali, iko dawa to the Presbyterian's pharmacy. But you have got no way of telling whether it was a government store or it was a private thing. So one of the things we are going to have to do to get universal health care is to return the public hospital system, to make sure that hospitals are working. And there's what we call the Abuja Accord. It says 15% of the budget should go to health. Universal health care is not funded through premiums. Because not everybody is working, not everybody is having a payroll. So the idea of saying that you're going to get your share shift, whatever, on premiums of 2.7% of gross income is utter nonsense. And then, which hospitals are functioning is the private hospitals, which are being driven by profit. So you cannot run universal health care on a health system that is being driven by profit. You must uplift public hospitals to a level whereby going to a private hospital is just optional. You see, once you have that, the salary you pay your doctors, you have got your government stores, branded, whatever, a percentage of the main tax comes, and people have got universal health care. That's what the most successful one is in Thailand, on the third world. That's what they're doing. The oldest is in the UK. That's basically what they're doing. So it's a direct charge on the main taxes, not on the premiums. Premiums are for the elite who want something special, who want something extra. But for the basic population, it should just be like building a road from that. And to do that, we must secure public finance. That's why for our agenda, public finance, we begin with the treasury, separating it from politicians. So even if you are a president, the only public money you can access is the salary you earn. Right? After the president got a Mushamwezi, you said you can make a call and whatever. And the other day, when this bread-based government began, one of the senators came to me, as an audience senator, and he was telling me, hey, my friend, today I've seen wonders. I said, what wonders have you seen? And we were in State House, and our leaders demanded for a bunch of money to be given out, 200 million to be given out. And the president just made a phone call, and within about an hour, boxes arrived. And the money was given out. That must stop. That must stop. The president must only earn a salary and allowances approved by parliament.
Yes.
Na nangoja mwisha mwezi.
Yes.
Na akisafiri aende mahali aambiwe tunataka daraja hapa, atawaambia hiyo daraja sijaona kwa budget. Wapi mbunge unaweza kuleta agenda bunge iingizwe kwa budget in the next year's budget. Are you together? That is what we must get. Physical discipline. Public, and the architecture for doing that is in the constitution. We are not inventing anything. It's political will that is required. And that political will, if you give me the chance and we hold our heads together, we will have the political will to implement the constitution. The other thing that we must do before we get to power, we must begin implementing some things.
Yes.
Elections.
Yes.
Presidential elections in this country are a mess. Not because the constitution wants them to be a mess, but because the politicians on both sides because they want to steal, they want them to be a mess. In the constitution, Article 138, Clause 2, for those who have a copy of the constitution, it's clearly stated that if more than one candidate is cleared to run for the presidency, an election shall be held in each constituency. We have 290 elections of president. There is no provision in the constitution for bombers. We get the 290 results pinned out of the constituency offices. If you have the capacity to have people around, like the media can have reporters all over, you will take those things and you can call the elections and say so and so is the winner. You don't wait for the chapters of this world. In the USA, don't you know who the winner is right now? Donald Trump. But when are the results being officially announced? In January. Okay? The election has been called because it was transparent. Even here, and the elections in the USA ended in the states. Here the constitution says it must end in the constituency. If we don't achieve that no bombers in 20, if there's bombers, there are no elections.
No bombers.
If we are bringing bombers, we must insist that the election must terminate at the 290 constituencies. We know who has won. And even the constitution is very clear. In Article 86, B and C and B and C, it gives you at B, it gives you a presiding officer at the polling station. In C, it gives you a returning officer at the constituency. So this man at the polling station counts the ballots, adds them, that's whatever gets the totals, fills the forms and signs them, period. From there, these forms are taken to the returning officer. Now he receives them from all the polling stations. He now does the tallying of the polling. He doesn't count the ballots. The counting of the ballots is done by the presiding officer. He now adds the results of the previous presiding officers, the various polling stations, and now determines who the winners are: the ward, the National Assembly, the Senate, the women rep, the governor, the president. Then he gives those certificates. Now, like for me, I come from in Busia, I've got 7 constituencies. So all I will have to do is to have 7 people at the constituent centers to call and tell me these are the results. And I'm able to say, this thing, you see. Yeah, man, so it's not something to be waiting for all that time. So for me, I want us to know that one of our campaigns is to demand that there will be no bombers in 2027 and going forward. Bombers must go. There's no election at bombers. And even the wording in the Constitution, in Article 86, for the presiding officer, he counts the ballots, tabulates, and announces the results. For the returning officer, he also adds up those figures and announces the results. But in 138 clause 10, where the IBC chairman makes the declaration, he says the IBC chairman, within 7 days, declares the president. He doesn't announce, he doesn't make a finding. He only makes formal, he confirms the obvious. So we must have an election where the media can call. If the media cannot tell us who has won the election, then that election is not transparent. And that non-transparent election is bad. If you follow the petition I filed last time, when the voting ended, the Kim's kids were not connected on the network, and those who are connected. The Kim's kids are connected on the network, returned their results. And the only Kim's kids that did not return their results, if you were to take the maximum number of 700 votes per kit, it came to 506,000 votes still out there, including Elders, where they not voted. But the miracle then happens. 23 hours later, 2.7 million votes are added onto the tally. Can you get 2.7 out of 5 or 6? You can't. That's the kind of things we don't want. That's what Bomas does. Then Bomas gives Ruth a certificate. When you add the totals this way, the totals are wrong. When you add the totals across this way, the column is wrong. So you go into an office with a certificate that is forged. So forged is an accurate document because the data there is not accurate. If the data was accurate, the totals should add up. You see, this is an age of spreadsheets and data view. You see. So what we don't want to see is this kind of thing. So for us, all elections must end at the constituency. Bomas, hakuna. If you look at the Elections Act, in the Constitution, there's no bomas for tallying and whatever. When you go to the Election Act, there's no bomas. Now, the regulation of the IBC made to help it do the work is where they have something called the Presidential Returning Officer. That must go. And I'm saying I'm saying we're not going to court over that because the Supreme Court, in the way it does its own things, has validated that the IBC chairman has the power. The Supreme Court has done many things against this Constitution. We don't have spoiled ballots in the Constitution. There's no provision for spoiled ballots because the anticipated election is digital. It's digital. That's why they said the elections have to be accurate. The election has to be verifiable. Verifiable by who? By the voter. When you vote manually, the time you drop your ballot into that box, you have lost control. You cannot verify that that ballot was counted to the person you voted for. But in digital elections, the technologies exist. They give you a serial number, which you can use once and it expires. You go to the website of IPC, enter that serial number, and you'll be told, you voted here, the vote, your vote was counted on such and such a person. You can verify where your vote was counted. It's verifiable. And the level of accuracy is one vote determining an election. 50% plus 1. 1 vote determining an election. And 1 vote out of 19 million votes. You can't deal with that money. You cannot. So you go further, you get that the election has to be simple. You should be able to touch that Kim's kit, and the pictures come up and you touch the button of the final person you are voting and you are done. The election is gone. So there are no spoiled ballots. In the Raila one case, there were many spoiled ballots. Then the question came, do spoiled ballots count or they don't count? That was the point at which the Supreme Court should have disqualified that election, because it had not been done according to the Constitution. But the Supreme Court went on and said that they don't count, and then they went on to do their thing. So this idea that we have got an elastic Constitution, which the Supreme Court can play around with, is something we must also reject.
Yes.
When we implement this Constitution, we are going to insist it's full. I know there are many things that are not working. So on on the elections, we must work before 2027 to make sure that there will be nothing brought to Bomas. Chebukati will make whoever will be the Chebukati of the day will make the announcement from Utah Towers. They will see to do that and then announce from there. But you'll already know. You will already know. Citizen TV, National Media Group, KTN, MTV, social media, X, all those things will have already called the elections. You'll already know the results. You don't have to wait that long. Now, when you have done that, the other thing I want to look at is chapter 6. I've talked about chapter 12 on public finance. Chapter 6, we need to look at the question of integrity. And you have been confused a bit because in Article I think 93 and 193 on the MCS and the annual parliament, they say you are not disqualified to vie if you have made an appeal. So even if you have been convicted of murder and you appeal, they say you are not disqualified from vying. Okay, but when you go to Article 6, it's not about qualification. Article 6 is about suitability. Do you bring honor to that office? Do you attract the respect of the people? Do you do whatever? So one of the enforce chapter 6 and see that people who run for elections, people who want to govern us, are people who are suitable to hold those offices. Yes. Then we now go to the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights has very many things that need to be done. Education. They say every youth is entitled to an education, isn't it? And a youth is defined as above 18 to whatever. Children and youth are entitled to this. So we want to see a way whereby that obligation on the state to educate people is borne by the state through taxes. Nobody should be kept out of an education up to the first degree if possible. The experts will find that, but I believe that we should go to the first degree. Nobody should be denied a chance to go to school because his parents are poor.
Yes.
The state should take up education.
Yes.
And it should not be an opportunity to give people investing in private schools a chance to make money. Public schools must be as good as any. There's no reason why they can't be. Even when you look at some of the private schools, some are on a quarter an acre. They don't even have a play field. Why should they be able to attract kids? And a school with 10 acres, a public school, is not attracting kids. Why? So those are the things we have to do and ensure that the Bill of Rights, in terms of the rights of individuals, is adhered to. It is funded education, health, and all those things. So those are about the things we have to do. Then, of course, at the end of the day, is supremacy of the Constitution. And when we do all these things, right now, Kenya's per capita income is a measly $1,900 per year. When I was in Texas, and I met the Secretary of State, he called me and said, how do you survive? $1,900? That is being that poor. Do you really deserve to occupy the land you occupy on the planet? Or should you give it to somebody else? Why? And then he tells me, look at what you have in Kenya. Look at all this. Why can't you convert this thing into wealth? Why must Kenyans continue being poor? And he told me some of the best people I've seen in Texas are Kenyans. The Kenyan diaspora people are sought after and go and work. How are these excellent people not able to perform in their own countries? What is wrong? They keep asking me, saying, look at this. So, this idea of poverty, we must deal with it. The other thing we must deal with it is this false narratives. We like praising that in the past we were like this. Colonialism is gone. The past is gone. We are today competing with the people who are trying to take title deeds on Mars. They want to get colonies on Mars. We are competing with them. We cannot afford to do what we are doing today. We must organize ourselves and compete globally.
Yes.
We must not compare ourselves to Uganda and Tanzania. Let us compare ourselves to Switzerland. Let us compare ourselves to these big countries. Let us move.
Yes.
If we implement the constitution, get the budget right, set up a sovereign wealth fund as it's required, I'm telling you in 10 years, we'll turn this country around. And we want to move from 1,900 US dollars per capita to at least 30,000 US dollars per capita. That is the destination of this campaign, to make Kenyans rich, to convert our resources into wealth that works for us. If we do that, we achieve. It's only when we have done that, that when you sing your national anthem, the land of plenty within our borders, justice will shield us, that's when that national anthem will belong to Kenya. Right now, when you sing the national anthem, you are singing it to a country that does not exist. It's like praying in a shrine whose God is dead. So, with those few remarks, I've given you the agenda we have. It's a very simple agenda. Implement the constitution. What about tekeleza katiba? Get it done. We'll do it. You don't even need 100 days to do that. Day one, you'll do it. And we'll be able to move ahead and turn the trajectory of this country. There is no Messiah. Nobody can be a Messiah. Is the law. There's no Messiah. And even the reading of today was very symbolic for me, where the thing I commented in church, that the judges, the sons of Samuel, became corrupt. So the people say we need change. And God says what the people want to give them. Isn't it?
Yes.
And that's why they got kings. So you want change, you want progress, you want to be rich. Today, the way the country is behaving, children are designed to be poorer than their parents. Yet in a normal society, children should be richer than their parents. Are we together? So, with those few remarks, I'll take one or two questions. I know the time is gone, and then we conclude. Yes? Or comments? Do you have another mic?
Good evening. My name is Brian Oseko, and I wanted to take this opportunity to emphasize on the power of social media. Guys, as we continue with this journey, I want to urge us that let's use social media to the highest possible way. And at the moment, as of 2024, we have 13 million Kenyans on Facebook, another 10 million Kenyans on TikTok, then another almost 4 million Kenyans on Instagram, then another 7 million Kenyans on YouTube, and another 2 million Kenyans on X. So if we can be able to use these social media platforms in the best way possible, we can be able to reach as many people as possible in this journey. And after we've done that, the people at the grassroots, they can do their job as you say. Yeah. And as I finish, I want also to note that over 20 million Kenyans live. Honorable Omtatah, you have to find a way to liberate these 20 million Kenyans. And again, 80% of Kenyans are under the age of 35 years old. So we are the young people. We have to take the leadership of this country back to ourselves. It's us, the young people, who can empower our leaders that we want. Again, on the power of social media, I want to give one example before I finish. gentleman in America in these restrictions. This gentleman, one of them is called Charlie Kik, and the other one is called Vivek Ramaswamy. And Vivek Ramaswamy is the gentleman who has been appointed together with Elon Musk to lead the efficiency department. What these two gentlemen did is truly amazing. They were using social media, which is TikTok, YouTube, and many other platforms, and they were moving around colleges and universities. They were doing debates in these areas, and through these debates, they managed to reach a very big number of population. And through this, they also managed to do
one question, please. One question.
They also managed to do what we call podcasts. Even Trump himself did this, and this helped a lot in helping the voters know why they should vote for Trump as a candidate. That's all I had, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you so much for what you have done for this country.
So I want somebody to moderate this. Somebody come and moderate the questions. Yeah, you could make it. Before I finish, just have to say, the issue of my people paying 1,000 shillings for IDs, we're going to fight it. I want to go to court and have it court. They want to do that and they want to fight it. So let us get prepared.
Thank you. So we have a mic that is moving around. Where is it? So you stand, I don't want you to bring me the mic. Yes. Just ask the question from there. You can stand, yes. Just stand and ask the question.
Thank you. My name is Anna Owako. I am really full of hope. I remember the last time Kenyans had a lot of hope was way back in 1992. And the situation got scuttled. After all that hope, yeah, so my question is there something in place to mitigate against infiltration, as that is the main game of politics? Infiltration and also a deviation of purpose within the fraternity.
Okay, we are only going to do 5. So that's one, another one, then you will answer them together.
So I'm Kelvin Saitochi, and my question is only one. So apart from the national government, the county government is one of the most corrupt institutions. So how are we going to deal with devolution? Because devolution is not working in Kenya completely.
Okay. Nyakina, the question is on devolution. How are we going to deal with devolution in Kenya? 3 more, please. Okay. I just want question.
Hello, hi everyone. Is there anyone that have a question for Okiya Omtatah? If there is, kindly request the mic so that through KOT you can be able to ask. Meanwhile, just request the mic as we wait for further communication. And KOT, when you are ready, you tell us, because yes, I think I will start with mine. It and our hopeful and a presidential candidate. And first, I have one question and one appeal. First is I want to thank him so much for stepping in and helping us, because some of us, we had lost hope. We had said that we are not even ready for peaceful devolution. But when you came in, we said, okay, this is our last hope of having a peaceful revolution through O. And the appeal is that, please, kindly, whenever you get a platform, tell the president that you are our last hope and you are the last bridge that we are going to cross. But if he's going to burn it, then we will cross with the flames. And my question is, are you going to later maybe form a coalition, or it will be just one party? And if it is going to be one party, is it going to be a six-piece, so that at least those who are vying will know how to align themselves? Because we know that there might emerge other fresh parties that are associated with New Kenya. Is it going to be a coalition, or it will be one party? And last is that I want to commend the team, even though there is something that I want to say, maybe a bit controversial, is that the birthday is okay, but kindly, Mheshimiwa, so that you don't look like the rest, don't nationalize your birthday, so that we don't look like we are idolizing a leader or a personality, because we are supporting you because of the national interest and the values that you stand for, not you as a personality. So please kindly, maybe next birthday, you should engage more in remembering.
Okay, thank you so much, Fabish and the team. You can continue following us.
Thank you so
And politics. Now, the issue is that mostly when you look at those agenda that the people give when they come up with the political manifesto and whatever, that's about goodies. And I always used another job of prison, a unique prison, kind of being a unique prison, where the prisoners every 5 years are given an opportunity to elect the chief warden. And so emerges a very vicious war among the wardens who will become chief. And when they give you the agenda, they keep on telling you, we are going to do what? If you elect me the chief warden, I'll allow you more time in the sunshine. I will improve your rations. I'll fumigate the bed bugs twice a month. Nobody tells you I'll break down the prison. Are you clear? So they'll promise you stadiums, they'll promise you things that they don't deliver. And their manifestos are also again aligned, they come up with political need, tribal alliances and what have you. So at the end of the day, it's not that they are infiltrated. It's just that their aim was to keep you in prison. Because if you break the prison, they have no jobs. You saw when the Gen Z tried to do a prison break, a jail break, didn't the war among the wardens end? When you stormed the parliament, didn't Raila and Ruto circle their wagons and close ranks? Because they know that if the prison goes, they cease being wardens. So the issue of who becomes the chief warden is not as important as keeping the prison so that the wardens can have their business. I don't know if you're getting my analogy. Am I clear?
Yeah.
That's why you cannot get there. And the various deliberations that you have had, a lot of you have failed. What we are trying to do, you call it to drain the swamp or break the prison. When you implement the constitution, and the president can only has to wait for 30 days to touch any money from the public, being a president will not be attractive to many people. Because the person to become the richest person in Kenya is to be president right now. And you have seen it. So once we do those kind of things, we shall block the things that are bringing that kind of what we are calling infiltration and whatever. So let us implement the constitution. Let us create institutions. Me, I believe in building institutions. That's why I've been telling you, there is no Messiah. All of us are our own saviors. So the other thing is how to deal with devolution in Kenya to make it work. Devolution was a very, very important thing. You saw the press referred to it as a subsidiarity. In the Catholic Church, they call it subsidiarity, but it's devolution. The Catholic Church, if you look at it, it's very big, but it's the largest government in the world, but it's devolved. You don't have a head of the Catholic Church in Kenya. Every diocese deals with Rome directly, you see. So the devolution has worked, and it has worked for that church for 2,000 years. So devolution is not a bad idea. whereby you allow people at the lower levels to make their own decisions and to govern their own lives. The only problem is that the oversight mechanisms are not working. So to get devolution to work is to do two things. To draw a line down and tell people you mess with public funds will be dealt with. The Auditor General. The reason I want to interrogate the Auditor General on that report, the audit report for Busia, before the governor comes to Parliament. The governor will come to Parliament. I raised an objection that we cannot interrogate the governor on a report that is fictitious. The maths does not add up. Incomes are hidden. They are only declaring the income that came from the treasury. The own source revenue is not there. All these things are not there. So we cannot allow that to happen. When the last government went out, the German government, they left 1.3 billion shillings on the account. How can the new government be opening with a zero balance? And the Auditor General has cleared it. Those are the questions I have. Very stupid one. You see. So if we raise the bar and demand that the EFCC, the Auditor General, the Controller of Budget do their work, devolution in work, it's the rule of law again. Because today they'll tell you where mtatapiga kelele huko, auditor akija yuko na basha yake. Ukituma EFCC tuko na basha yake. Ukituma nani tuko na basha yake. You see that arrogance? So we need, it's a rule of law issue. Not that the devolution is bad. So to make it work, we are going to punish anybody that plays with the public money. And we even go with the civil servants who allow it to happen. And that's why I demanded the Auditor General to come, Parliament summoned her, and in the Senate, she had been invited to some conference in Rome on that day, so she went out. She has come back. She has been sending people to come and ask me to go and meet her privately. I said I can't go to her office. If she wants, let her come here. But what will happen is Nancy Katangu will have to sit across the table to me and tell me why she signed the audit report of Busia and cleared arrant theft. You cannot have a statement saying we were paid by 44 million, and yet it's reading that there is a deficit of 1.9 billion. So you need to deal with that. So that's what is going to save devolution. How do we get free education? First of all, it's not free education. It's taxpayer funded. It's the taxes you pay that fund that education. It's not free. The government does not have any money. You know that. The government has no money. All the money is your money that comes from your taxes. Are we together? The government there's no government money. It's taxpayer funds. So to do that, once we liberate the public finances and seal these loopholes, where somebody can make a phone call and 200 million shillings is delivered. Once we seal that kind of loophole, then we shall be serving the money to do what we need to do. Kenya has got enough money to provide all these things, but it's being stolen. You hear this thing, Uhuru said it one time, that 2 billion shillings is stolen everything. The other day, Mbadi repeated the same. We had a big fight in the National Assembly the other day. They want to reduce money for going to the counties from 400 billion to, I think, 370 something billion. So I asked, why don't you just save the 2 billion you're losing per day for 1 week and pay counties, then go back and continue stealing? Why don't you do that? Because yes, the counties are messing with the money, but we must ensure the money goes, and then law enforcement follows the governors who are wrong. So to get free education, we must clean up public finances. We must run public finances the way the law, the constitution requires it. And it will happen. Once you have that free money, that's not free money, that's excess money, then you shall be able to give the education. When Quebec was able to do it on a much smaller budget, almost half the budget these guys are using. They're able to do some of these things. Now, this guy has a system to help us with these ideas. I would want to follow up with you. I think that we can discuss of this forum. Question of femicide. It's just a question that the lives of Kenyans don't matter. You saw guys, kids who are demonstrating being gunned down and nobody has been held accountable. Some were even killed in parliament. Nobody has been held accountable. It's not just femicide. So to me, is that every life matters. And it's again a question of the rule of law. The police service, how is it being governed? And you realize that at one time, the police, there to be Inspector General of Police or deputy, you had to go through a competitive recruitment. That was removed in 2017 by the Uhuru government. So he now handpicks. The president handpicks who becomes the board of the police, who becomes the DCI, who becomes the deputy IG. And that's now where the problem comes in, that the police is no longer independent again. So it's become a militia for executing political operations. So one of the things you have to do is to go back again to the constitution and ensure that the police are recruited through the front door. If you want to be like a commissioner of police, utachujwa before you are given the job. And the consequences must be there where you misbehave. But when somebody just handpicks, somebody like right now, Kanja was just handpicked and put in office, and then they also removed the removal. Before that, we had said removal, he will have to go through a tribunal. But right now, they removed the competitive recruitment, and they removed the requirement for a tribunal to fire the chief police officer. So the police now is picked by the president from wherever he wants, and he serves at the pleasure of the president. That's why you see law and order has again broken down to where we had in the Moi days. We have gone totally down. So that has to be done, and it's part of implementing the constitution. To create employment, first of all, the government is not the main employer in an economy. It's the private sector. Right now, to produce in Kenya has become very expensive because of corruption, in terms of even getting licenses, in terms of doing whatever and what have you. You have got labor has become expensive because of taxation. When they say housing, you pay 1.5 and then the employer pays 1.5. All that becomes cost of production. So it is very expensive to produce in our economy now. And very many people have been laid off. So one of the things he will be intervening to make sure that the taxes and all those things that make our manufacturers not produce are dealt with, come up with clear programs to see how we can increase manufacturing. I'll give you an example in motor vehicle. There's something I've been fighting for. It is called the 1959 UN Protocol on Motor Vehicles, which allows you to produce genuine parts. If your country signs on to that, they set up inspectors. They can come in an economy, set up the inspectors, so you can have now genuine Toyota parts being produced on river road. We have the technology, we have everything, but because of the trade in second-hand spares, which is controlled by some people, the trade in second-hand vehicles, Kenya has declined to sign that treaty. So as much as you have the technology to manufacture parts for Toyota and sell them in the US, just because we have not signed that document, we cannot do it. Those are the barriers that are killing this economy. And we must get them. I've been fighting one, at least I've put it in the bill. When the Industrialization Ministry have put it in the bill. And to get even that to move, I had to go to court and block something they were doing. So when we began negotiating now, we're going to move, we said now the UN protocol must be signed, the motor vehicle industry must be liberated. We must be able to use the potential we have. Kenya has got the capacity to produce batteries for the global market. You can do all those, but they can never be marked genuine because you have not signed a protocol where inspectors can come and validate the factories and do all those things, and we do it. That's where the problem is. So we're going to deal with those kind of barriers. So we want to look at those kind of things and see what is it that is holding our manufacturing back. And I'm sure we can be able to manufacture and to produce because I have an advantage called labor. Again, when I was in Texas, I went to the Dell headquarters of Dell Computers. I sat with the CEO across the table. And he told me one thing. He said, you know what? We have done market surveys, and Kenya has got very hardworking people, They speak better English than the Chinese and the Indians. They do whatever, but we cannot set up our call centers in Kenya because your infrastructure is dilapidated. Get power blackouts, you get all these kind of things. So we're unable to get in this market that we would really have loved to get it. So why are you having Shylocks in power? Why are you having like Shylocks in power? Look at these treaties, all of them are just benefiting a small group. When Kenya Power makes a profit of 1 billion shillings for a few shareholders, I'm telling you, we are losing about 20 to 30 billion shillings in manufacturing. We cannot have power that's about so many times more expensive than our competitors. So we must create an environment where our manufacturers can be competitive. We must have a tax regime that allows production. We must have a banking system that's not a banking system of Shylocks. We must have a banking system that promotes investment and growth. Not a banking system where they give it 19%, what do they call interest? Where will you get money to pay 19% interest? Then they go auctioning people all over. When you look at our newspapers today, just take the newspaper on Monday or Tuesday, look at the number of auctions that are there. You won't believe it. So we need to intervene in the economy in a proper way. We need to discuss with the manufacturing sector, see what are the bottlenecks, and ensure that the government provides the policy framework and the infrastructure for business to thrive. That's the only way we shall address the question of unemployment. Not saying that the government will create jobs. Government cannot create jobs. The fuel that it creates should be just providing services that enable the industry to run. So there was a question of coalitions. I think what we need to focus on right now is not coalition building, but creating an agenda that is coherent, an agenda that the Kenyans can buy in. And if we need to make coalitions, then we make coalitions on the basis of the agenda we have, not on the basis of the individuals who are fighting for power. So we have a coalition of ideas, a coalition of an agenda. That one can be done, but that will be much later. But what I believe is that if we build a strong enough vehicle, it can be a vehicle that can go it alone. It's clear. Because many of those people who are in power today don't want to implement the constitution. Because they want to go to power and have the power Ruto has today to call for 200 billion shillings from the treasury. And the money will be brought in. And so we are saying, we want a situation whereby Ruto waits for his paycheck at the end of the month. You see, we may not have a meeting of minds with those kind of people. It will be useless going into a coalition to get power when people want to keep the system the way it is. So it will have to be a coalition in terms of an agreement with an agenda that you want to implement. The issue of being a messiah or whatever, for me, I don't think it is there, because those who have worked with me have been very, very clear that we must get the vehicle. And even those people are telling me to run, I was telling them, let us get an idea of a vehicle before I can even announce. It's a question of getting the vehicle first and looking for the best driver. And a better driver might come than me, and we say, you drive the vehicle. It goes. But the vehicle has to be there. The idea of creating a vehicle for a driver, these personality cults that we call parties, they're not political parties, they're personality cults. That's why you have this problem of the loyalty that happens is not loyalty to a party. Loyalty to a party is required, but it's loyalty to an individual. The party is owned by that individual. So you are just there to support the individual. And that's why an individual can move and say, I'm moving into government. Then you say, you get the same piece, and everybody says, because he doesn't consult you, he doesn't need you. So we need to get to a problem where the party is owned by the people. And if there's a policy decision to be taken, it begins at the grassroots until it gets to the top and is validated by leadership. So, don't nationalize your party there. I don't get that. Or to make the today, I don't know what that means. I don't understand it, but I hope I've answered it. That you want to do that. And one thing I forgot to say when I was talking about the elections, the election standard in our constitution is not free and fair. It is tamper-proof. The people who made the constitution said, you know what, in Wakora. So we want it not free and fair. You cannot have a free and fair election. You must have an election that is tamper-proof. So before you go to an election, you must make sure that the next election is tamper-proof. It cannot be stolen. And the people who know technology, you are the people who are technology savvy. Can you imagine running M-Pesa manually? Can you imagine running M-Pesa manually? So what when I withdraw pesa kwa Inanga Street, na wanakimbia Hurlingham, balance haijachange, wana withdraw tena. Ama nandanganya. So digital technologies are there. We are transacting billions of shillings daily digitally. There's no reason why you cannot do our elections in the proper way. Brazil, with close 500 million voters, had an election last time. The dividing line was rather thin, about 2 million votes. Results announced 48 minutes after the last ballot was cast. 48 minutes. Because the machines were doing it. You see, if you go to our own constitution in Article 81, and you go down to, I think it's 3E, it says the election, in C it says will be supervised by an independent body. But at E it says the elections will be run in a neutral manner. Who can be neutral? A human being cannot be neutral. A human being will always have a bias. Even the commissioners vote, but they can be impartial. They can say, okay, this item, you can be impartial, but you have your own bias. When they say we want a neutral way, the only thing that can be neutral is a machine. And you know, even this thing of saying that they will program. If you program this machine to cheat, it will cheat. But those who have got an eye will just look and say, the machine is telling me that I'm cheating. As I was told to cheat, I'm cheating. That's why in some of these countries that have gone digital, election disputes never go to the courts. They open the server and they see what happens. They fix it administratively. So that's what we are trying to get. It's late. There's some tea and snacks being served here. Celebrate my birthday. And I'm happy. And I've seen t-shirts and I saw the hashtag. I'm a poor man. I'll vote for Omtatah. I also want to see others which say I'm a poor woman. I'll vote for Omtatah. Let us build that network. Let us build that network. Nobody can build a network. There's a story, the final thing, the story of the hare and the tortoise you've heard, isn't it? There are two versions. The version you get mainly that I got in school, not the one I got at home from my grandmother, is that the hare, when challenged to run, the tortoise said, okay, my fate, ntakubali. Then the hare comes. Then Firimbi, the hare takes off and disappears. Then he looks back and doesn't see a tortoise. He sleeps. And the tortoise comes struggling, passes, and then eventually gets the prize. Yani, accept your oppressor. Accommodate your oppressor. Keep on working. Labda siku moja atateleza. Alafu utaponyoka. You see, you wait for your oppressor to make a mistake, then you survive. That's one version of it. The original version I had is that when the tortoise was challenged to a race with the hare, and he knows what the hare can do on his feet, he said, hapa hakuna haki. Labda tungepewa kuchapa viboko ndio nione kama hare can also receive slashes on his back, maybe at the retreat. There was no justice. So in the face of injustice, he said, I look for my relatives and friends. And when there's ever a cow, there will be tortoise. And the one will be at the winning post. However fast the hare runs, there's a tortoise already taking the prize. So for us, they are calling us poor and whatever. Let us build that network. That whatever they do with their money, their advantage. They are inviting us to go there to fight within their structure. Let us not move there. Let us not wait for that Atwoli to fall asleep, then we win. No. Let us create a network where however fast Atwoli runs, he's always behind us. And then we win a prize. And I want to tell you one thing about Atwoli. Atwell used to be a very good friend of mine. One time he called me, yet he was coming from Geneva. He called me to his office and gave me 2 very expensive shirts. He said, "For the Hasata, I means you're a tough guy. So I'm recognizing you." He gave me 2 shirts, which I still wear. I even wore one yesterday. No, I'll wear them. Now, the same Muse, one time, there was, we had Karibu Kabas. So, on one time, we had a recruitment of the National Land Commissioners. 2 people were shortlisted, yet they never applied. So me, I said, how can this happen? This was Tia Galgalo, and I can repeat it, Tia Galgalo and Mirugi, Esther Mirugi, who was former minister. They were shortlisted, they never applied. I went to court to challenge it. So when I challenged it, Tia came to me with a delegation saying she's a widow, she's whatever, and she had some money for me. I go and withdraw the case, I allow her to get the job. I told her I don't do those kind of things. The next thing I got was a call from Atwoli saying, I'm your elder, the things I need to talk to you about, can you come to my home? So I drove the whole way to Atwoli's home. When we got there, we got where he usually says people sometimes, the other white woman has this maid or something, just so these things of ego. So I got there. So the white woman ushered me to Atwoli's place. When I entered the porch Atwoli was sitting, I found Tia Galgalo sitting there. So I say, okay, should be on a different agenda. I don't know what other me have been called for other things. So we greeted each other, we talked, had a lumptious lunch. Then after we had lunch, Atwell called us to go to, said you can go up. He got some funny, I think he was building a bungalow, then he changed his mind and made it a gorofa. It looks funny. So we got into that building. And we got into that building. We went into the living room. So Tia went deep inside, I sat near the door. Atwell went to the inner rooms. Then he comes back to the porch. These things that sometimes carry things for ladies, perfumes, whatever, these small cute boxes. I don't know what you call them, they're like handbags, but made of paper, stiff paper. He had a number of quite some money that he picked. I think it was 4. He placed on the table. Then he told the Tia, wewe uko na ngapi? Tia akaleta yake. Siku mbili akaweka hapo. Sema kijana wangu, mimi ni mzee wako, chukua hii pesa na hiyo kesi enda toa. I told that really I don't do that. He said, I said I don't do that. And I'll not do it. Let me go and lose in court. But I'm not going to take that money. So I left Atwoli's place. And that was the last time I visited Atwoli's place. So Atwoli calls me a poor man. If I can reject his 6 million, who is richer? He's worshiping money. I worship God.
Yes.
So he's better off. So that's why I told that Muse, well, what the thing is saying, I think it's rubbish. Because I won the case. They went to the Court of Appeal, they overturned it. But I won the case that my position was that you did apply for this job, you cannot be shortlisted. Minimum. And that's something no money can buy. No money can buy my conviction. So whatever is talking about being rich and whatever, me I think is poorer than I am. Because me I can reject that kind of money. He thinks you need money to go on earth. So that is that. Today, Tia Galgalo is a commissioner because the Court of Appeal said we went to the wrong court. Because this whole thing was corrupted because I was acting with a guy called Otiende. So we agreed with Otiende and said, because of the way these things are behaving, they're going to hit us on jurisdiction. You go and file in the High Court. Okiya Kalgalo today is still and the Esther Mirudi are commissioners of the National Land Commission. I hope they are doing good work there. But for me, once you come through the window, not the door, I doubt if you have the capacity to do things the right way. So that's where we are. We have got our friend here, the young man called Kebaso, can come and address.
Good evening. First, let me say I'm sorry for being late. I had promised that I will come for the mass, but I got into an accident in Maimayu. One of our Land Cruiser Prados rolled down the hill. I had to take them to Auckland, Maimayu Hospital. Then I went to Naivasha Hospital. Then I had to go attend a function in Limuru. So somehow along the way, I got late. I am sorry. Have you accepted my apology? I don't know where to begin, but let me say this. Immediately when Okiya Omtatah declared that he'll be running for president, I was among the first people to say that I can attest that this man is a man of integrity.
Yes.
Personally, you know my stand, and you know that I shy away from working with corrupt people because I was not raised that way, and that is not my mission in leadership. If I want to make money, I can be a businessman, and I believe I can make more in business. But if you've chosen the burden of leadership, then you should be willing not to focus on money. My own personal experience of Okiya Omtatah, apart from what I see on the TV, is when I was arrested. You know, when you are down, that is when you count your friends. When I was arrested and taken to Nairobi area police station, Okiya Omtatah came and sat with me. And my wife brought dinner and we ate together. Pale kwa ofisi. Then when I was leaving, when they were saying ati sasa tunampeleka police station, he said, I want you to book him at a police station and I want to go with the OB to my home myself. So they said, lakini bwana senator, we are not going to lie. They said, no, police lie all the time. If you are not booking him at a police station, I want to go in the same vehicle that he will go. Bana, let me tell you this. For a man to say, a senator, not just a man, a senator of the Republic of Kenya, to say that I want to go with this young man in the same vehicle and make sure that he is safe, that is beyond servant leadership. Personally, from that day, I was moved. And I knew that this is a person who I can work with in leadership because he has the integrity and the willingness to serve the people. So, Okiya Omtatah, congratulations on your 60th birthday. It is my will that I also get to 60. I would like to live long and see what the Lord has in the land of the living. All I'll tell you is you've been through a lot. You've even lost your teeth. You've been beaten. You've been betrayed by people who you thought will never betray you. You've been jailed. I remember you told me in confidence, is a day he pulled me aside and he told me, unajua sasa wewe, sasa ndio siasa imeanza. Wewe umeshikwa hii mara moja, mimi nilishikwa mara 27. So I keep counting every day and say, okay, has been arrested 27 times, bado safari, si ndio? All I can say is, if we are going to walk this journey together as friends, let us redefine the leadership of Kenya. There are a few things I want to say, and I don't know whether you are in a hurry or whether you can add me 2 more minutes. All right, this is what I want to say. We cannot beat William Ruto in money. Hiyo kwanza tusahau. We are not going to beat that guy on the basis of money. Hiyo tusahau kabisa. Because in my own estimation, the amount of money he has stolen since 2013 is not millions. It's not billions. It is trillions. Number two, he has placed key thieves in different government positions, the latest being Rashid Echesa. The one who was, when he was in the Ministry of Sports, was issuing visas to strippers for his brothel in Ruaka. The cabinet secretary who could not resist the urge to print fake money. You know, there are things you stop when you become a cabinet secretary. Now that is the guy who is now the chairman of the board of National Occupational and Safety. He is making his allies billionaires because he wants the next fight to be a fight about money. And he believes he has understood our people. And he believes that our people cannot resist money. I want to tell you this. This is not something I've said on TV or anywhere else. Some of the opposition leaders that you trust are funded by William Ruto. I know that for sure. But because I don't have hard evidence, what I have is what I know. I've not been able to say it or mention them. But nikishika tu evidence hivi, I'll mention it. Some of the people you trust who come out on TV, condemn this, condemn that, condemn kidnapping, they are not on our side. William Ruto bought them a long time ago. They are just buying picky ponky with us. And in the end, you will see them joining him. Hapa tu karibu na 2027, you will see it. So don't trust everyone just because they speak the same language. Even the devil comes clothed as a bishop of hope. The devil does not come with horns. When the devil was tempting Jesus, he showed him good things, not bad things. It was kingdoms of the world and gold and money. So please, be careful who you trust. We are in a treacherous journey, and the only reason we are safe is not because we have security. It's not because people taste our food before we eat it. We are only safe because of the favor of God. Amen. And whatever we are going to do in the leadership of Kenya, everybody in this room, leaders and listeners, let nobody be driven by greed. Personally, I have the desire to be a president. Okiya Omtatah has the desire to be a president. All I can request, my brother, if it is the will of God that you will be our president, arrest these criminals. Yes. Make sure they eat their supper in jail and do not negotiate and don't budge and do not accept campaign money from corrupt people. Wacha tukufe njaa kwa sababu tumekata pesa ya ufisadi. But we will not accept a bribe because these people are going to come to you. They will say, we'll give you $1 billion. I'll give 500 million. I'll give 100 million. And when you look at the election and the way Cherargei is talking, you feel like this billion can print posters. It can buy a roadshow vehicle. It can pay people for sound system. Let us not accept even 10,000 shillings from corrupt individuals. And if you're going to have your own political party, there should be no candidate who is corrupt running on that ticket. Mwizi yeyote ambaye anajulikana kwa sababu siku hizi they are very confident, wanaiba mchana. Moses Kuria stole Karatu Stadium in a company that is a director. Nowadays they are not afraid, they don't even hide behind proxies. All these thieves, none of them should run on this party. That is my request. And it is a kind request that if it pleases you, please don't allow these people to come anywhere close. Because it only takes one bad potato to spoil the rest. I will walk with you. You will never hear me on a campaign podium insulting you. I'll respect you as a father. I'll give you your honor and dignity. I'll respect you because you deserve it. You fought for it. And if it is the favor of God, we shall not touch the anointed one. I also ask the same favor. Those of you who are seated here, let us redefine our politics. They have defined it with insults. Let us be different. Especially young people like me. They say that we are young and greedy. Those of you who are seated here and aspire to be leaders, and you are young, don't embarrass us like the young leaders that we have, who only wear tight skirts and never contribute anything valuable in parliament. They dress scantily in a manner as though to impress us. They steal our public funds. They sell cocaine. They print fake money. They're involved in wash. They're involved in fake gold scams. They're involved in tendering for theft of public money. And they call themselves young leaders of Kenya. Please be careful. And if you see me greeting them, don't worry. Sometimes, when you eat with the devil in the dark, we always use a long fork. So we know. Sawa sawa. Otherwise, I'm grateful that you've allowed me to even speak to you. May the will of God be done. May the Lord our God protect Okiya Omtatah wherever he goes. Whatever he touches, may it turn into a blessing. And may the Lord bring to fruition whatever he has purposed in his life beyond 60. If it is the will of God that he's our president, Morara has tomorrow. And if it is the will of God that I'm the president, pass. Ujue kwanza wewe, hiyo kazi ya anti-corruption, hiyo ni wewe na pia. Kwa sababu wewe ndio unajua vile utafanya hiyo maneno. Otherwise, nashukuru, Mungu awabariki and God bless you. Asanteni sana.
I think that you have sat for very long, and I've spoken for very long, but I had to speak the way I spoke so that you could understand. What I'm doing, I'm basically living a comfort zone. In Busia right now, people are crying for me to become the governor. People are crying, if I want to defend my city in Busia, it's a walk in the park. I'm living a comfort zone. And all of us must live a comfort zone because it's a time of war. What these people are doing is declaring war on us. You people have no future if you don't stop these wrong leaders that had from independence. You have no future. We're going to be slaves in our own land. We're going to be tenants. They're going to vaccinate our animals. They're going to do whatever they want to do with it. They are building houses for us. They're going to move us out of the land to live in those houses to provide cheap labor. We must say no. We must get our country back. And please, as I tell my young brother or my son, I call him my father, I didn't call him my son. And remember that I told you here that the day you mention a name, you'll be arrested. It didn't happen. The day you